Speaking on it, talk is very cheap. You never want to lead with your words when you move in silence. You want to lead with your actions. When you're always there, 99.99% of the time, you're usually taken for granted and not as appreciated. So slip that back. That's that on that. Howdy, hey bays. Evie Aswiti here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time. Today I'm going to talk about moving in silence and what are the benefits of moving in silence, how to move in silence, and just in general, why this lifestyle is for you. And yeah, keep on watching. Moving in silence is something that I didn't think I was going to make a video on, but my best friend was like, you should do this video because you're perfect at it. She's also on YouTube. Her name's Ariel Jillian. I'll link her. I figured that I would do this video and kind of like get you a little something, you know, on how to like move in a way that will protect your energy, but also not deprive friends, loved ones, strangers, and future acquaintances of your energy, and just, you know, being peaceful and all that jazz. So number one that I could really think of for why moving in silence is so important is that it protects your energy. Moving in silence is about being mysterious. Moving in silence is really just about how can I give the most of myself, but also keep the most of myself. It's finding a balance of those two things. How do I remain true to me, but also how do I not give too much of myself away? And moving in silence just means that you have self-love, you have self-care. It means you are not going to be too accessible because you're not submitting yourself to anyone, you know. You are truly in your power when you move in silence because you control your time, you control, you know, who can have access to you, and you don't owe anyone anything. We're not deserved anything, really. Like, if you're really thinking about it, nothing in this life is owed to us. Everything in this life is a gift to us. So we have to remember that. And I think when it comes to moving in silence, it's just about remembering those principles and keeping it in your head whenever you want to make decisions on how you announce yourself or let the intrigue announce yourself. You know what I mean? So number one, as far as like moving in silence. Moving in silence is about listening more and talking less. I'm a chatty person. I love to talk, but I'm also naturally very reserved too. So I know when to not speak depending on the situation I'm in. So that takes self-control, that takes discipline, but it also just takes knowing you have two ears versus two mouths. You only have one mouth and you have two ears. So when you have that in mind, it's best to just listen a lot. And sometimes when you're having conversations with folks, actually not sometimes, most of the time, a lot of it is people just want to vent and they want to be heard. So listening really could be your only job in that scenario. Is when you're in conversations or in social settings, just listen. And when it's asked of you to give input, then you can give input. If it's an appropriate setting for you to give your opinion or give input, then you can do it, you know, kind of like don't speak unless spoken to type of vibes, you know what I mean? So that's number one, listen more than you speak, number one. Number two, and this is pretty practical, but don't announce anything until it's already done, okay? And this can be across the board. This can go forth to you're out at dinner or you're out and about eating, and you know, a lot of people take pictures of their food or do selfies or, you know, post on their stories. You know, if you're that type of person, never ever ever post your location while you're out there. You know what I mean? Post it when you're done with whatever you're doing, eating, enjoyment, whatever. Post it whenever you're done. Why? Because one, nobody asked where you're at. Two, That's how people pop up on you. So it's a safety situation. And number three, it kind of keeps people in an aura of like, what's she up to? Who took that photo of her? Who is she with? Why is she there? Like, it just adds to the air of mystery, and sometimes it's no one's business, and that's really it. Not saying that you're doing things to be mysterious, but it's nobody's business except your own. But if you choose to share, less is more. It makes it more entertaining if you use it for that purpose on social media. Now, as far as like your announcements, your plans, your goals, a lot of the time, and this could be a good or bad thing, people want to hear what you're up to just to keep score with you. And that can be a bit negative if they don't have good intentions. So it's just better to just only announce things when it's already set and done, so you don't have any influences trying to tell you or put a bug in your ear to do something else or to influence you to sway a certain way, because a lot of the time folks really project. Everyone projects unless they are highly enlightened. Everyone just projects. That's just how it is. So you want to speak on things after they're done, after the dotted line has been signed, after it's completed. So that way you are firm on making your decisions. That's your decision, and no one can talk you out of what you want to do. Period. Okay? Unless they're a very trusted advisor that's already doing better than you and you trust their opinion and you know, are vulnerable with them in that way. Okay? So that's number two. Number three, moving in silence. When everyone else is doing one thing, right? You want to do the opposite. This is kind of more of like mystery, but I'm thinking of events, okay? So right now, this is Friday the 29th, and it's Halloween weekend, and you know, people are out and about. It's a Friday night. People are outside doing the thing, you know, costuming it up, whatever. I'm inside filming this video, okay? Now, you may think I'm boring or a homebody. Both of those could be true. One of those could be true, or none could be true. You'll never know, because when I pop out, I'm popping out. But the pop out only counts when you're not always out. You know, that's the ticket. The ticket is you don't want to make your moves or announcements so predictable when it comes to showing your face. It's kind of like that same thing of when you go to a party, you don't want to be the first to arrive, but you don't want to be the last to leave. Depending on the context of the party, you don't want to come late to a party that's like inappropriate, you know, but you want to keep it where you have places to go, you're busy, you have a whole life, darling, okay? You want to not make it seem like you have a whole life, but you want to have a whole life. And if you don't have much going on, you know, outside of like, you know, work or leisure, or if you're not working or if you're in school or whatever, figure out what are things that make you happy and occupy your pie. Occupy your pie? That's how you know I want some pie right now. I'm kind of hungry. You know, occupy your time with that. And don't be ashamed of doing things that are against the grain. That's what it is about moving in silence. If there's a whole big shenanigan or party going on a Friday night or Saturday night and everyone is going, you not going, right? It adds more mystery to you, because people are going to wonder where you're at. Especially if you're already kind of like a mixy person or a known person or admired person. They're going to wonder like, whenever this person shows their face, it's like, it's a treat, you know? It's not like you're always there. And I'm learning, especially now, that when you're always there, you're always 99.99% of the time, you're usually taken for granted and not as appreciated. So slip that back. Don't be afraid to not be accessible. You don't owe anyone anything. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to certain events. And, you know, that's that on that. Another thing to moving in silence, and this is more of a social media one, don't post so much of your possessions. And I say this because envy and jealousy is very real. Energy is very real. you don't know, if you're not someone that's heavy with discernment in your heart and your spirit, you won't know why people are around you. You won't be able to read people very well. And sometimes, you know, when you are showing what you have, especially if these are things that are very not attainable, but like highly desired, you could be a target on the low. You could be someone that people have their eyes on. Okay, think Kim K, Paris, robbery. That's what I'm trying to say. A couple years ago, actually at this point it was like more than a couple years ago, a few years ago, I bought a new car, a really nice car. Usually most folks, you know, want, you know, like make a announcement about it or blah, blah, blah. Nothing wrong with showing your announcements to people that you love and, you know, what you want to do. But I never told anyone about me buying this car. Never told a soul except for very close family, very close friends. Not even that. Like, I didn't post about it. I didn't make an announcement about it. I'm the type of person that if I receive something, and this is just my own personality, but it goes into moving in silence, I won't make an announcement. I will just show up and you will see what time it is and you'll understand. You'll understand the types of moves I'm making. Because I think when moving in silence, speaking on it, talk is very cheap. You never want to lead with your words when you move in silence. You want to lead with your actions. And it makes a greater impact when you pull up in a German whip when you used to drive buckets most of your life. And the people that knew you for driving buckets now know you for pulling up in a Porsche. You know what I mean? That's way more impact than announcing what you have and getting validation. Nothing wrong with getting validation, but I'm just saying for moving in silence, you don't want to make announcements about your possessions. You don't want to do it. Another tip for moving in silence is that moving in silence involves humility. Moving in silence involves not wanting to have too much pride, but also not having any shame about how you live your life. And it goes into the validation piece. First and foremost, you validate yourself. And when it comes to moving in silence, you have to have the humility to not speak on yourself so much. You have to have the humility to be okay with not getting attention all the time, you know? It's the quality that counts. And I think when it comes to moving in silence and humility, and pride and also shame, we have to acknowledge what we have shame about, you know, and we have to acknowledge what we have pride about. And finding that balance in between is true humility, in my opinion. You know, not being too low where you're ashamed to be who you are, but not being too high where you're arrogant about who you are and you feel entitled. So moving in silence means you don't have to announce where you are. You don't have to say that you're confident. You don't have to say you're humble. You don't have to say how great you are or anything. Your life is a living testament of how great you are. You know, your aura is a living testament of how you know, how you make people feel when they're around you. Your glow in your skin and your personality and then just your essence is what speaks so much more tremendously than what you can tell. So moving in silence is about protecting your energy. Moving in silence is about being aware of discernments and who has great intentions for you. But more than likely, moving in silence is not about being secretive. It's about valuing your privacy and valuing that what people don't know won't hurt them. My name is Evie Aswiti. So glad that you came today to, you know, spend some time with me. And I hope to see you in my next video. Thanks so much. Remember that you glow for a living. And also remember that it's because you're lit from within, beyond skin deep. Bye, y'all.